everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Domenica and this is the season of parties and potlucks. I happen to be going to a potluck tonight, and normally people ask me to bring dessert or something sweet because they know that I like to bake. However, this time it was requested that I bring a vegetable. So I'm gonna make one of my favorite vegetable sides. It's easy to make, easy to transport. It could be served warm or at room temperature, and it's a crowd pleaser. I mean, if you have vegetarians, vegans, etc., I think it's okay. Maybe just omit like one thing and you're good. Let me show you what I use. So I'm going to be starting off with about 1.5 pounds of green beans. I've already washed and trimmed these. However, I did leave the tails on. If the green bean tails are not tender, you can also trim those off and then just rinse them really well. I also have a few large cloves of garlic, as well as a little over 1 pound of tomatoes. Now, for this recipe, you do want to use either cherry tomatoes, grape tomatoes, pear tomatoes, any type of small tomato will do. And I like to get a variety of colors just so it makes the plate more visually appealing. You're going to be cutting them in half. And I have some balsamic vinegar that I will be using towards the end, as well as some toasted pine nuts. I've already toasted these, and some Italian flat leaf parsley. And then throughout the meal, I'll just be using salt, pepper, and olive oil. So what am I making? I'm going to be blanching my green beans, and then separately I'm going to be roasting the tomatoes with the garlic and some olive oil, salt, and pepper in the oven. That is going to be my topping for the green beans. And then I'll show you how I plate everything towards the end. So I went ahead and chopped up my tomatoes just in half, and I also chopped my garlic. I do not use a garlic press for this. I do prefer chopped. And then I've drizzled some olive oil, salt and pepper, as well as just the slightest pinch of sugar, and that's just to help your tomatoes, if they're not as sweet, to kind of bring out that sweetness. And then after tossing, you're going to put them in a single layer, and I have my oven preheated at 375. And I'm just going to let them roast until they start to blister, cook down. And this is actually one of my favorite ways to do tomatoes. As a side note, if you just have some pasta, you can toss this with pasta at the end, and that's a meal too. You don't want the green beans to get gray or mushy, so especially for this recipe, it is nice if they're cooked to crisp tender. So I'm just gonna wait for a couple of minutes. Now, you do not have to do this step. I chose to go ahead and plunge it in ice water afterwards, but if you just want to drain them and toss them with a little olive oil and have them ready for you, you can do that as well. Again, I just wanted to stop the cooking process because I didn't want them to go any further. So after letting them sit in ice water for just like half a minute, I did go ahead and roll them up in a kitchen towel a little bit to dry them off. And then I will be tossing them also with some extra virgin olive oil just to give them a nice shine and flavor. If you are blanching the beans, you can do this step a day before and then just leave them rolled up in your kitchen towel, and they'll be ready for you when you need it. So this is what the tomatoes look like after pulling them out of the oven. The garlic has caramelized and the tomatoes have cooked down a little bit. To this, I am going to sparingly add a little bit of balsamic vinegar. For this amount of tomatoes, probably about 1/2 teaspoon, and I will just combine it all together. And I'm just going to do this while they're still in the pan, so basically drizzle a little bit. I don't want this turning like super brown, but I do want like that sweetness of the balsamic. And then just gently kind of toss them together. And here I have my green beans already plated. So what I'm gonna do, basically, I'm gonna start in the center and then work my way out. But I'm basically gonna put the tomatoes on top. This is the artistic side of me coming out. And after you got all of that there, just a few more. Okay, then when you've got that, and just fix this slightly, then I'm going to put my toasted pine nuts, and this I'm just going to put over the top. No big deal. I have about 1/3 of a cup, but I don't think I'm going to use all of it. And this just adds a nice little crunch to the dish. And then I chopped up a little bit of parsley, so I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of parsley on top as well. And this is the final presentation. So I'm going to be taking it to my location like this, but I'm not going to cover it just yet. I will cover it before I leave the house. Thank you so much for watching. Now, this recipe originally comes from a cookbook called The Farmer's Market Cookbook. I believe that's the name. I remember the front cover. So I'm going to try and look for it, and I'll link it down for you below. Although the recipe in the book isn't exactly what I've done here. I remember a lot of the elements, what were my favorites, and I put it together. So I'm pretty sure it's close. But if you are interested in the exact recipe, I will link that cookbook below. Otherwise, I will just describe what I've done for this video. I hope you enjoyed this recipe. Please remember to like and subscribe to my channel, and I will also have my Instagram linked below as well, and you can follow me there. Thanks for watching.